Welcome to our next episode of
Fandom
Family
Chats.
This is a production of Family Fan Clubs on Facebook. You can find us all over Facebook. You can find us all over social media under Fandom Family Chats. Look us up, get dialed in, get plugged in, and get ready to listen to some crazy people talk crazy stuff. Hey guys, welcome back to FFC. I'm Maureen.
I'm Jeanette.
I'm Amanda.
And tonight we are back with another One Chicago episode. Some of it was good. Some of it I was not happy about. And some of it was just I could have done without completely. So we're going to dig into all of that. Of course, as always, we are starting with Med because that we want to keep it kind of cohesive. We know 3 shows recapped in one episode is a lot. So we want to keep it in order that the NBC keeps it. So we're starting with Med and this episode is called It Is What It Is Until It Isn't. They're always so cryptic.
I know. I know.
I always try to get so much more out of them. And sometimes I'm like, that title didn't
Always
help me out at all, really.
I always wait to hear it because if you notice, like they say these lines in the show,
They do, yeah.
and I always wait until I'm like, oh, there it is. Now I know what it, because I make these outlines as I'm watching, and so I've already written down the title, and so I'm like, oh, I found it.
Well, we're gonna jump right into the rock wall, and then we saw this in the preview where Hannah and Justin had to help a friend from the gym after the accident, and that was a crazy storyline.
Yeah. I kept guessing what was going to happen. I was like, I'm not getting this right at all.
Right. Well, because I mean, first I was like, oh, we didn't know what was going to happen, and then when he keeps ringing the bell, I'm like, what is he doing? Why is he ringing it over and over again?
Yeah.
And then the poor man, I heard Justin say he's not clipped in, but I'm not a rock climber, so I didn't fully understand what that meant until he dropped, and I'm like, oh, you mean they couldn't catch him with the rope? I was like, oh gosh.
Yeah,
so
I saw it unclipped.
Crazy. Yeah, I guess I didn't pay attention to that. I didn't think about it. But luckily for him, you just so happen to have this accident while you've got 2 ED doctors right there next to you. So that's good.
Yeah, that was. I'm surprised there wasn't more damage to either of them because that was kind of a high fall to fall onto somebody. Justin, I can't think of his name.
His first name doesn't fit in my brain.
I know.
I just learned his first name in this episode, and so I'm trying to make myself like Justin. It just how sometimes you envision what someone's name will be.
Yeah,
I didn't imagine his first name being Justin for some reason.
No.
But it is. So, but imagine him he caught he said to them, he caught his head to make sure his head didn't hit the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that takes some major talent to make sure that we're good there, but. I mean,
they kept doing CT scans and stuff, and I'm like, you guys realize he was ringing that bell over and over again at the top. There was something going on before that.
Definitely.
That was the thing that I kept thinking of. This is why are you not focusing more on that? And it took them so long to be like, oh yeah, wait, he did that. That was even their first indication something was wrong. Was how he was even the first time he rang the bell. Just was like, hey, you good?
But then I wondered, after he fell, I feel like they mentioned that he smelled like beer. So at first I wonder if your thought was, okay, he's drunk and just kind of forgot what he was doing. But I mean, his blood alcohol content was what, 0.04. So
2 beers.
Yeah. Obviously wasn't the cause of what was going on.
The beer diet, all these diets he was on.
I know.
It's like, what is happening? I mean, I know people do it. I know
you, someone from Wisconsin started that beer diet. I know it.
What's Texas?
Right? Are you sure? No, but clearly that's what it is. I mean, between the beer diet and then what else did he have? He was both vegetarian and on the keto diet, so he just wasn't getting enough nutrition. So finally, once they figured that out, Dr. Charles to the rescue, figures out what's going on. So once I get all the memories, the memory starts coming back, which makes sense. I mean, the man just he didn't have the nutrition needs. And I mean, we know how that can affect everything that you do. And so, that finally starts coming back to normal. And so but he talks about the headaches. That's not explained. I mean, that explains some of it, I guess. But they notice his eyes, that was wild.
My thing. You get the nutrition, you're like, oh, he's coming back, all this. And then all of a sudden he can't move his eyes. I was like, what now?
Yeah, that was
what
weird.
Else is there?
And that poor guy, imagine the panic. I feel like I would have that same panic. Wait a minute, why can't I move my eyes? This doesn't make any sense.
Thank
Now I'm
God
gonna have
Dr.
this
Charles was
fear.
there with him.
Oh my gosh, I know. But I'm like, does he not notice his eyes weren't moving like before? Like, is this gonna have to be a new fear of mine? If like, can my eyes move? Am I have to like watch in a mirror?
I know, right?
Are they moving?
I mean, I guess maybe you wouldn't, because I think typically we do move our head when we're looking at stuff unless you're actually doing tracking, like, so maybe you wouldn't think about it unless you're concentrating.
I guess. Thing for me to even think about. I just feel like everybody would know if your eyes weren't moving, but
No, I mean, I guess not if you're compensating by moving your head as you're talking about it. Like, so
yeah.
maybe no one would notice. It's crazy, but yeah, it's definitely going to be a new fear of mine to think about. But what's they find, like, he's got like something like a little lesion, like pressing on like some sort of pituitary gland. It's craziness. And
Yeah.
when he got all upset earlier, that BP spike caused him to have a brain bleed.
But
the crazy things happen.
They removed it and he was doing better. So
yeah,
woohoo.
Telling you, man, that was a scary thing for me because my medicine causes splitting headaches. And I was like, oh, great. I'm going to have to go do this.
All the time I have headaches. And so I'm like, think about that every time. But headaches is like a symptom of every single thing that's out there. So you can't really go by that.
No, but you do.
Oh, absolutely.
Like logically, we understand A, this is a show, and B, the likelihood of these rare, exciting things on a show that keep you captivated and watching probably not going to happen to you. It doesn't stop me from thinking, oh, I saw this on Chicago Med. That's me. That's what I got. That's it.
What was it? I was just at the doctor the other day, got a physical, all that good stuff. And I've been like out of my thyroid medicine for a little, really terrible. So she's getting me back on that or whatever. But she said something like, so have you been having like migraines or headaches? And I'm like, not migraines. I'm like, but I have a headache all the time. But then there was like nothing else she said about it. So I'm like, so why did you ask me that question and now put some sort of weird fear in my head? Like, what was the purpose of that question? What are you trying to figure out here? Like,
maybe because you weren't taking your meds. Maybe she's asking if it was causing headaches,
maybe,
not
but it
being
was
on
just
him.
so odd. I'm like, well, yeah, I do have headaches. What does that mean?
I would have asked. That's how I am at a doctor's
Well, I think it was
office,
one of
though.
those delayed things. It was, yeah. And then I expected there to be more conversation. It wasn't until after I left, I was like, why did she ask that? Like,
Oh, I'll call back.
I'm waiting to see my blood work. If I see anything weird, I might be like, is this because of the headaches? I don't know. Like I said, I mean, it was a good thing that Hannah and Justin were there for Omar. And Hannah, I mean, another win for she's there to help another patient this week, which this one was kind of a crazy story.
This one was odd. They had a lot of really odd storylines this week in Med. I mean,
there was a theme though.
Yeah.
It was things that appeared as something else, manifesting as something else, and knowing that you need to trust your gut and it's find the real problem.
It is what it is till it isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where
I just now connected that dot. Literally just now.
I didn't until you started explaining it. I'm like, oh, that's exactly
I didn't miss it. I missed it.
What she was explaining, that's the title. It is what it is till it isn't. Yeah. Look at that.
You figured it out. I love that I get to talk about this because I do have endometriosis. I did. After having kids, it kind of dissolves itself in a way. I mean, it doesn't have the pain anymore, but it is a really horrible pain every time you have a cycle. Every single time I would throw up all day. I mean, I would take usually like 3 Benadryls just to knock myself out for a day to get through it because I was 14, 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
But I would have to knock myself out for a day.
Yeah.
To get through this. So it is really bad pain. But I also noticed when she said it was in her back, that's usually not common. So I caught on, I think, faster than maybe a regular watcher would. But
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and this whole the whole pain med thing from the beginning, I did not think she had a pain med.
Me too.
Issue. I didn't. I was like, I didn't get that feeling.
Exactly.
I guess, and I guess Hannah didn't either. Yeah, I know. It would have been, and it's just like it wasn't. I don't know. It just didn't seem normal. Not normal. it didn't seem likely with her.
Yeah.
The way she was acting, the way she was like full on tears, full like pain.
Yeah.
You can tell when
Well,
somebody's in pain. And
the thing is, like, even if she had a problem with pain pills, you could still, in my opinion, see that the pain that she was experiencing at that moment was real. So she wasn't there to just get pills. Like, even if she had an issue with them in the past, like, this wasn't the purpose of today. Like, she was in actual pain. And I think that was clear.
Yeah.
And especially when Hannah said, "Is Tylenol okay?" And she was like, "Yes, if you think that'll work."
Anything. Yeah.
Anything. She didn't. I mean, when Hannah did that, I was like, oh, well, maybe, because she looked in the computer and there wasn't a history with these drugs. So that, I mean, any doctor who sees that will automatically go, well, not trusting them.
Yeah.
And they won't give you any pain meds, which is,
it's so unfortunate. I see the benefit.
I do too.
Of this. I do. But I also, because, it also means that maybe you need to dig a little deeper to find out, do they need it? But to just, I mean, where she was almost like, I don't know. I couldn't tell if, could she not like physically give her any meds because of that?
She wouldn't be able to, she said. If she had endometriosis, the system would stop her from giving her a prescription for it. She could still administer them, but she would get in trouble if she put it in the system if she did it, because the system wouldn't allow her to put it in.
And see, that's the problem I have with it. I don't mind it flagging so that you dig deeper and you find out, like, do they really need this? But to physically stop, because there's going to be, even if she had been a drug addict, she could still have endometriosis that's giving her like this kind of pain. So is she not allowed? Like, you can't even make an exception, like, to someone having, like, I don't know. I feel like there's always an exception.
These tools shouldn't be blindly followed. They're meant to be used alongside a doctor, what they can see, touch, hear, feel.
Yeah.
It's not meant to replace those senses of a doctor. It's meant to aid you in exploring what you're sensing.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I totally agree with you. I wouldn't mind it flagging, which I think probably hospital systems do now.
Yeah,
if
and
you're
it
a frequent
should.
flyer, they should, absolutely, and it should be nationwide,
right?
Because the opioid addiction in this country is ridiculous, just totally ridiculous. So there should be a system put in place for addicts not to get it easily.
Right.
I'm sorry, they're going to get it if they want it bad enough.
Yeah.
But not as easily. Anyways, I just step down off my soapbox.
Well, the crazy thing there is that it should absolutely flag you, but doctors should still be allowed to use their brain and their senses to prescribe. And okay, so the system is going to see they prescribed them even though we flagged, but there's a trail. There's a paper trail there. You can see exactly what doctor prescribed it, when they prescribed it, how they prescribed it. So if there ends up being a problem there, you know exactly what source to go back to. But when you stop doctors from prescribing, they're going to start doing it under the table to help their patients, which is where you get in a real big problem.
I mean, even make it like a 2-person.
That's a good idea.
Authentication.
Your supervisor to sign off on it. If they're flagged, doctor does it and supervisor has to approve it.
Yeah. Why? I mean, I think that should be better than
common sense.
Because I could see there being like one, you're always going to come across one bad doctor who's is going to give out the drugs. But this way, if there's 2 people having to flag it, then I just feel like there's better ways than just completely like the system did.
Oh, absolutely.
And I wonder if that's coming from Jack Dayton, because he's a tech guy. He's an engineer. So he wants the hospital to fully rely on all things. He wants them to rely on AI because that's what he understands as an engineer. I have to rely on the things that I have instead of a doctor who has to utilize senses rather than what he uses. He's not a medical professional. He shouldn't be the one making these decisions.
No, definitely not. Not alone anyways. I mean, he can present ideas to the board and things like that, but you need like people who actually know what's going on to like tell you whether 100%. It's a good idea or not.
Yeah, I still don't understand this whole Jack Dayton thing or why he's involved in this hospital. I understand he has money.
Drama. Yeah.
But it's
an opportunity for him to expand his portfolio. And if he can get in here, then there's probably other medical fields that he can branch out into that will make him even more money with the AIs he's able to test in this hospital that he owns.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But getting back to Jody. Right. Poor Jody. But But then she starts having all those seizures.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's a OD withdrawal. Well,
No.
it might be, but
well, I think they said that they didn't think that was the case, and it wasn't that she was going through withdrawals or anything like that. That wasn't a symptom of that. So I think they knew that meant, and it's not a sign of endometriosis. So like they knew, like, okay, we got to dig deeper. Something's up. And of course, she's got a tumor, because I feel like that's what we always find when there's like. Right? It scares you death to go to the emergency room, because I feel like every time on these shows they've warned me out, like, if you go to the emergency room, you've probably got a tumor somewhere. Like, which is not the case all the time. But poor Jody has one. But
I think there's going to be this is going to be our big drama for the next, probably for the rest of the season, I think, is Sharon, oh my gosh, Sharon fighting with Jack Dayton. Yeah. And I think she's, after this week,
I don't think it's going to be just her.
No, I think it's basically all
Archer's for sure going to fight back, because Archer's Archer.
Yeah.
Hannah is already ticked. And Will's going to get in there, because Will is immediately going to see the problem for it. I didn't mean that the way Amanda would mean it. I meant
no, I actually agree though, because like there's no way there's going to be drama and Will's not going to get involved. I mean, God love him, but he's going to.
Will is going to see how bad it is for his patients if this is how it has to operate, and there's no way he's going to tolerate that.
And maybe Will be able to like help, because I mean, we saw how like Jack Dayton responded to him last week, that he appreciated his forwardness and his honesty and all that. So maybe Will be able to help facilitate a conversation from someone that obviously Jack respects him already. So we'll see.
So I feel like I missed a little part, because I was watching while I was doing other stuff too. The medications weren't hers.
No,
it was putting her name from her vet
for her cat.
It was okay. That's what I had.
Yeah, so it wasn't even her.
Okay, I just
geriatric cat.
And the other one was a pilot who he is always in different states because he is a pilot.
Right.
So when you expect him to just not get medications until he's back in his home state, however long that may take him.
Yeah. So that's where we need, I mean, obviously, like, those are red flags, but there should be a way that like you could be like, there should be someone sitting behind these computers that are like, okay, no, that's an exception. Throw that one out. That doesn't count. Or is there a note section? Could you just jot down some notes as to why like they're being flagged so someone could read them? Like,
and even entering into the system for the very first time, like that vet, could they have, put a note in the system? So, because obviously they're connected.
This is for Fluffy, not for Jody. Like I feel like there's a way around this.
So this issue with the program labeling Jody has Dean really worried about Sean, which I totally agree with.
Yeah. I love seeing more of that develop.
I'm real excited.
Because that was a piece of Archer that you could tell was going to be a big arc. But it feels like we really haven't seen him since like the beginning of the season when he came and shanked.
Yeah.
So I liked seeing him go talk to Sean, and the joy that Dean had when Sean told him he's getting released, it was just, and I even like the way that Sean told him it. It was like he was revealing a surprise to his dad. It was just,
it was really
I loved it. It was so sweet. And
I feel like Archer's kind of scared for him to get out.
Especially after this program where he's now realizing, okay, wait, my son is coming out a felon, and it was a drug issue that he went in for, right?
Yeah.
So is this stigma now his to bear permanently? No matter the work he does, he's let off early for good behavior because he worked at getting better and getting over this addiction, and he did it. But he's not even relieved from it. So I think that there's a part of Archer that's probably worried he's going to have to relive this addiction stuff over and over and over again. And you relive an addiction long enough, you're going to get back into it.
Yeah.
But I mean, kudos to Dean for going to Dr. Charles.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think he would do that. I thought he would just kind of try to keep it to himself and be mad about it.
I mean,
I was happy about that.
This is a new development for him, because I think he wouldn't have, last season. Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
And that was
I love watching him grow, because I mean, we hated him. We hated him.
Yes.
Could not stand him.
Yes.
And it's that character development that just we love to see.
Yeah. I mean, I'm rooting for him now, definitely.
What did he say to him when they were when he picked him up from prison and they were hugging each other? What were they saying? Remind me.
Because I thought like you against, because he asked, he said, I think he said like you and me against the world, son, or
Is that what it
something,
was?
something along that line. I don't know if that's verbatim, but it was something along that, like,
Because
I
he
got you.
repeated a
Like, we're
couple
gonna do
times while
this.
he was holding him, and I was like, I cannot wait to see the set of Archer fully bloom and come out. I'm so
Mhm.
excited for that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it'll be nice.
And of course, that's contrasted with this other patient that we get, where we had one more patient this week that was not getting a fair shot, just like Sean wasn't, or Dean doesn't think he will, but he was accused of something he didn't do. And this storyline made me sad, because it's something that's too common and too real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, this poor kid, they brought in Aaron was his name. They brought him in for abdominal pain. And they find like a bullet on the x-ray, which I was like, what? Um, and I mean, the kid kind of knows that it's there, but he's not wanting to say anything because he just happened to be present at a robbery.
Yeah.
He's happened to be there. He took a bullet for it, but he knows that no one is going to believe
Yep.
that it wasn't him that committed it. Because I think didn't they give a description? Did they?
Yeah, a
That this show,
super
I get confused.
generic,
Yes.
wide-ranging
generic.
description of a black man.
Yes.
I mean, the color of his sweatshirt. I'm
Right.
sorry, wasn't this a week ago? Do you think he's wearing the same thing?
Yeah, and it wasn't even like it's not like we described like a specific sweatshirt. It wasn't
Yeah.
like just like a something probably so many people have
Exactly.
in their
They
closet.
They said like a black sweatshirt. Like, are you serious?
I got one of those too. I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Was
And
it
wasn't
me?
didn't they actually say medium build black man?
Yeah.
Of course, there's only
Medium
one of those in Chicago.
Yes. Of course there is. And he's right there with the bullet in his back.
yeah.
Oh.
So that's awful. I mean, I did love that we got to see Kevin though.
Yes,
'cause
I was-
that was
yeah.
cool. When he showed up, I was like, oh yes. And of course, Kevin's like, he thinks he's innocent, but it's not his department. So he really has no way. I mean, he can't do anything about it.
I'm surprised he didn't.
Well, I mean, who knows? He's
sort
probably
of
back
did.
there. I mean, if you called Voight's team would have been fair with this whole thing.
Well, I think Kevin's the one who pushed for how it turned out. I think he was
Yes.
involved.
Yeah, I think so too.
Probably.
But of course, he's got a bleed. They've got to fix his pancreas. But he doesn't want the bullet removed, which I don't blame him, because he knows it's gonna match the gun because he was there. But
Can you imagine the pain this kid has been living in?
Yeah.
With a bullet in his abdomen.
Yep.
Yep.
And then the next part, which I didn't realize they could do. I mean, I guess I didn't think about the fact that they could do this, but because he had like the blood in like his GI tract or whatever it was that was spilling out, they used the pads to dry it up. The cops used those to like they could just pick them up and like use them to get his DNA. Like, what? I didn't I don't know. That just blew my mind that that's okay, which I guess it is, but
that's why cops can go through your trash. If you put it out, they can go through it.
That's just wild. But it was still in his room. So, well, maybe not. Maybe I guess they cleaned it up, or I don't know. It was crazy.
It was they had to rush him off. It was when they rushed him off and they left the room, it was what was left behind that they could go in to get.
Yeah. So if he's not in there, they can take it.
And then we find out what he's a minor. He's a ward of the state. So here the state is like basically like gonna force him to have this surgery. But thank God for Crockett, man. This was a clever fix that I absolutely loved.
Yeah.
At first, I didn't know what they were doing. I was like, what's he? I don't understand what we're doing.
Yeah, I had to watch him do the procedure.
He said what he was going to do. He said he was going to go around it.
I still didn't understand fully.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I wasn't fully understanding exactly what was going on because I was confused too. I was like, what do you mean go around it? But all he did was just kind of move it out of the way just a little bit.
Well, I kind of thought that Dr. Dupree was going to fight it because when they were in there, she said, and there's the bullet. We're getting closer to the bullet or something like that. And he said, yep. And now we're going to go around it. And I thought at first she was going to be like, no, we have to take that out. But she was just as excited in the end result as he was.
What did she say? She said not only something about help with, she said something, but also with social justice. And I was like, she's on board with this. So I like that too. So I'm like, okay, so I think I like her. I think
you will be if you're a decent human being.
The other thing that was sad about this too is this kid, not only is he a minor out there on his own, escaping probably what was a terrible foster home situation, and you can make that judgment based on the fact that he has not gotten in trouble with the law. He shows up early to work. He is kind and decent to his bosses and the people around him. His bosses will vouch for this guy.
Yep.
And they're going to pin it on him because he matches a bland general description. Like you can tell just from how he is at his place of business and how he conducts his life in general that he is a good, decent kid who only ran away because his home life, the foster care system, had failed him so miserably. Like you can make that deduction and you can call that fact based on his actions since he left the foster care system.
Yeah, it was sad. It was really, really sad. But I mean, thankfully, like even after they get done with that, he's cleared. Someone else is arrested, so we know that Aaron's going to be good. So,
and he could have the bullet removed now if he wanted to.
Yes, and hopefully he will, because I mean, I guess it's fine. I know you can leave them in. I've heard that in other medical shows, but
yeah, you can.
Then it can lead to problems later or whatever.
Yeah,
yeah.
That would be my fear of it.
Like, what if it moves back? Like,
it probably will.
It could shift again, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because your organs are constantly moving, and like, what if you're playing football and you get tackled in the side? It could lodge something weird.
Yeah, you can fall down the stairs. You can slip. You can anything can shift.
Couldn't you have cleared him like 30 minutes earlier, so they could have went ahead and taken it out when they were doing it? Oh well, right. But I mean, this was another win for I think 2.0. I mean, this gave him the chance to help him. But I think next week we're going to see the drama kind of start with this 2.0 again.
Yeah, I'm not very happy about this next week preview.
I didn't like it. Nope.
They don't give us too much information, but we obviously know the fight between Dayton and Archer is going to get pretty hairy.
Yep.
It seems like Archer gets fired. I don't think that's going to stay.
No,
it better not stay.
I don't think that's going to stay. I think they're trying to scare us with the preview.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times has Will been fired and he's been fine? It'll be okay. It'll be fine.
But I think
Will doesn't really work there anymore. He's just around.
I think that this is another instance where the board is going to have to step up and not be afraid of the owner of the hospital and say, listen, we have to go with what our doctor's strengths are versus what the AI is. Yes, we want to use the AI. We are using the AI, but you have to allow doctors to be doctors. Isn't that what you want in the end anyway? Do you want to replace, like, I wouldn't go to a hospital that was replacing real doctors with a machine. I wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
Yes, people can mess up just like a machine can mess up, but a doctor who is using his physical senses can pivot faster than a machine can. You want that.
Yes.
And why force someone who is already very good at what he does, able to do it successfully, efficiently, quickly? Why fire him for not using a machine that will slow him down and make it worse?
No, I totally agree.
So I don't think it's going to, I don't think it can, I think the board is going to step in and be like, no.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
Because explain to me this. Just because he's the owner of the hospital, does he have unilateral control and say? Or because I thought that was the purpose of a board, was so that the owner cannot make unilateral decisions that have to stay in place.
Well, that's what I thought too, because I was thinking, like, do you have the right to just fire him like that? When I saw that preview, I was like, I don't see how you do.
I don't think so. How could he?
Yeah.
But is that how hospitals work? Like the board
know.
has to work like a presidency where Congress has to, the president doesn't have more power than the Congress? Is that, I don't know how that works in a hospital. Does the board have just as much say?
I don't know, honestly.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
That we'll see.
I don't think it just doesn't make sense to me that they could.
No. Because then you could just fire somebody just because you don't like them. Like,
yeah, exactly. There has to be really, I mean, he's like the head of the ED. What is he? What's this?
Oh, he's the chief. Yeah, right.
The chief. Yeah.
Like, what that is? Yeah. Chief of the
shouldn't
ED.
that be
because who's going to take over
person deal
duties? Like somebody's going to have to jump in and fill in for that. So I don't know. I think they'll fix it. I don't think it'll last long. I hope.
I don't think so. I really don't. But I guess we'll see. We'll have to see what happens.
We'll see.
All right. So I think that's what's coming up on Med. I know that's what's coming up on Med. I think that we're going to learn a lot more about how hospitals work, or at least this specific hospital. And I don't think the preview is giving us an accurate depiction of what's actually going to play out.
No,
but
I don't think so.
knowing that, we can jump into fire and the episode. I know I can't. I have to say that every single time. I can't not do it now. And this one is called A Guy I Used to Know, which is also misleading because this is also misleading because if it's talking about the OFI investigator, what is his name again?
Van Meter.
Van Meter. I want to call him Van Merton. But Severide still knows him. They're still cool-ish. Mm-hmm. So just like after last week, Kelly is struggling to believe Van Meter is corrupt, but he has, he wanted to prove he was right. And our gut instinct was correct about Van Meter.
Mm-hmm. Yes, which I was glad.
Yep.
I was also glad, though, this storyline brought us. This won't mean as much to Maureen as it does to me, Amanda.
Oh, I was so excited.
But Jana Kramer was there.
I was thinking of you guys when she popped on the screen. Obsessed. I know what she's from, but
yes, love her. I'm
actually almost a bigger fan of her music than I am of her as an actress.
Oh, absolutely.
I love her music. She's a lot on my day-to-day playlist.
Yeah, I mean, I was a fan, I guess, because I was a fan of her on One Tree Hill first. Yeah, I found her music, and I absolutely am obsessed. I saw her in concert once. Ooh. She came to like a 4th of July thing we did here in Kentucky, and so it's really cool.
That's cool.
Love her.
I didn't know that.
She comes in. She's playing Melissa, who's an insurance investigator, working with, I guess, I don't know, Commander Pierce. They kept talking about, Severide kept talking about how he owed him a favor. I don't remember Commander Pierce. Did I forget this storyline? Or
is it from the beginning of the season when he was working with finding out the dirty cop and getting that taken care of? I think that's where it came from, because that's the only time that Severide has really worked with the PD. I think it came from getting this dirty cop off him and Stella's back and getting him arrested.
Okay, maybe.
It could have been.
And that's just an assumption of mine. I don't physically remember Commander Pierce being there. He looks vaguely familiar to me, but yeah, that's all I could think of.
I was really confused because they kept saying it like we should remember this storyline. I do not. But he's there. Severide owes him a favor. And so he's telling him I guess there was a fire at some sort of development that now they're now building again in a more lucrative spot, which obviously triggers some red flags on whether this is something crazy going on with the insurance. Van Meter said it was just an accident, but the insurance people are saying they found accelerant on the scene, and so they're not believing his story because supposedly there's pictures of him with this developer. No, but even that picture turns out to be they went to high school together, so it was at a reunion. So it's you're not even that good of friends. You just happen to have a photo together. And I was really proud of Kelly for he stuck to his guns. I mean, he was okay, I'll do this. You're asking me to go investigate, and I will. But he was I don't believe that he's done anything wrong.
No, he finds that evidence too. I mean, we knew he was going to.
Yeah. And I'm with Stella on this. He felt bad about it. He felt like he was a rat, but Stella's no, screw that. You're the best guy for this job. Yes. You're the one who's going to find out the truth, because we both know Van Meter's good. We both know Van Meter's not a liar. So you're the one who's going to get him off of this. You're the best person for this job.
Yeah, because someone else who didn't care so much wouldn't have fought so hard to find that evidence that was just misplaced in the wrong box because they were overloaded at the time of this happening. Yeah. Other people would have been oh, it's not here. He must have covered it up, and that would have been the end of it. So Kelly was definitely the best person to go and investigate this.
I was a little sad when Van Meter came in and exploded on Kelly, because he said all these horrible things to Kelly, but he's I thought you knew me better. Well, I thought you knew Kelly better. Yeah. Could you stop to think about how you could be helping him? Yeah. And instead of attacking him and telling him, how dare you look into me? He had to. He's asking you questions, not because he thinks and he should know that, not because he thinks you're guilty, but because he wants to find the truth. And you should want him to find the truth.
I wondered if Van Meter was afraid that because they were so overwhelmed that time, did he miss something? Did he mess up? Probably. And it was sort of this projection of he's probably thinking, oh my God, if I messed up, Severide is going to be the one to find it, for sure. So I wonder, because I was annoyed too. I was hold on, buddy, he's trying to help. Just calm down over there.
Hurt people, and I get that. But at the end of the day, when everything was cleared, and even Jana Kramer, whose name I don't remember in the show, but I know that she's Jana Kramer.
Melissa
Oh,
Keating
Melissa.
was her name.
She said to Van Meter, lucky for you had Severide. He never lost faith in you. There was no apology from Van Meter.
Yeah.
I was like,
I
come
know,
on, man.
I didn't like that.
I really like you a lot. I
No.
like your character. You're good. You're honest. You're true. You're amazing at your job. But you need to apologize for the things you said to Kelly.
Yeah. No,
Especially
I totally agree with that.
especially when we're given the history of their relationship by Kelly at the end.
Yeah.
Like, you're a father figure to this guy, and you're not going to apologize for the things you said to him.
Yeah. No,
Tracks.
I totally agree. We don't, I mean, like, I'm glad we were all right about Van Meter, because I think I would have been like devastated if I was that far off. I mean, he's one of the good ones.
Yeah.
But then there's Miss Emma, on the other hand, who is definitely not one of the good ones.
I hate seeing her on my screen.
I do too.
Same.
I get
Hey.
filled with an irrational rage when her face appears. Like,
Yes, when she comes walking up to that firehouse, I was like, back up.
Yeah.
Back up.
can I just point out before we get into it that because I like to do this, I was right again.
I
She
know.
wasn't gonna hit Violet straight on. I was wrong about the person though. I thought she was gonna go after Severide.
Yeah.
She went after Violet, or she went after Brett instead of Violet.
Violet.
Is that how I said it? It's your fault,
Pretty
not
close.
mine.
It's probably more likely my fault.
I mean,
than hers, but
let's
yeah.
be real honest. I probably have as thick of an accent as the rest of you, but mine sounds very different from the South.
I don't have an accent.
Yes, you do.
You can poll anyone who lives right here around me. I do not have an accent. I actually
Yeah.
sound pretty normal.
How do you
I
say
don't either.
Louisville?
Well, it's not Louisville.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I can't make my mouth make that sound. Louisville.
Louisville.
I can't. It sounds like I'm degrading the city when I say it, and I'm not.
It's like
degrading the
Nolans.
city. There's no way I can say that. It's New Orleans.
Not to people there.
How do you say the word bag?
Bag, not bag.
See? I
Bag?
say bag.
Beg?
Not
Bag.
bag, like your bag. She's saying
B-A-G,
bag,
bag.
with an A.
Oh, bag.
Yeah, bag.
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 That's big.
I thought you were saying beg.
Nope.
Yeah.
There was a Charlie Barron's, is a guy from Manitowoc. He's a comedian. And he was talking about how I grew up my whole life wondering why bags couldn't be choosers. You just choose a Walmart bag because beggars and bags.
Skip
funny.
choosers.
All right, sorry. So
You're
I just like to point out, when I get something right, because I need
Uh-huh.
wins sometimes
I
too.
understand. I
Sometimes.
understand.
You,
Sometimes.
you win all the time. You
I
have
do.
us in your life.
That's true. I win every day.
You do.
Go ahead.
So Violet Emma.
Yeah, right.
So she did the way she came at Brett was with her paramedicine program.
Mhm.
Which the moment she got called and was like, this is a disaster. Oh, that's Emma.
Yeah.
Oh,
me
I'm
too.
sure everybody was like that though.
That's Emma.
As soon as she started threatening Brett, I was irate.
Mhm.
Like blood boiling. I was like, oh no. You're not gonna start going after Brett.
Well, and I mean, like, this is a legit good program. I mean, we see
Yes.
that on the call at that like clothing shop. I
Yeah.
mean, that poor woman, had it not been for Brett, I mean, who knows what the police, what they would have done to her, not understanding what she needed. This is
Yep.
a good program. And so the fact that Emma is so selfish, that like your need for revenge against Violet and 51, that you're going to take you're going to try to take this program from people that like need it. That's just, I mean, she's just an evil person.
It just shows you how of a bad person she is.
Yeah.
Like we
there's-
already knew she was, and then she decided to take it up 2 levels this episode.
Yeah.
It was, listen, I'm glad it ended the way it
Mhm.
ended, and she is hopefully, we didn't actually see her get fired. I just want to
No.
say.
I know.
And I'm a little
And
worried.
even
I
if
don't
we
know,
do
you seem PO'd, but I don't know.
Maureen,
He's
you
a
realize,
manipulator.
Oh, absolutely. I was going to tell Maureen, you realize I don't know why I should even like stroke your ego more, but you were right about this as well.
I know.
That they found, now you didn't have it exactly,
Yes, I
but
did.
I think you said she was going to find, they'd already cleared out his apartment. We found out they have not fully cleared out his
No,
apartment.
they cleared out his office, I said.
Oh,
Yeah.
And she's gonna go to his apartment.
Okay, well,
and
maybe
find what
she didn't
needs
go
there.
to his apartment exactly. Well, I guess she
did.
did after his cousin Natalie. Okay, I'm trying to not give this whole thing to you, but I guess I need to.
Where I was wrong is I said she's going to reach out to his family. Family
Yeah.
reached out to her.
They
That was
reached
where
out
I
to
was
her.
wrong.
That's
And
what
that
it
was such a sweet little.
Oh, did any of you guys cry a little bit
when we heard his voice.
Oh
I
my
cried
gosh.
when I heard his voice. I'm just saying.
I didn't.
Just the look on Hanako's face when she walked in the apartment. I mean, Violet's face when she walked into the apartment. Like,
yeah. It was just all those memories, and then the picture frame with their picture and their
she
little.
sniffed his shirt.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, it
I was
really
really-
did break my heart.
In that moment, I was thinking how cool his apartment was. So I think I was distracted then because I was like, God, this is a nice apartment. I like this. But good thinking on her part by checking, like remembering that he keeps voice memos of like everything, and
Yeah.
good on his part for making these voice memos.
Yeah.
We got her, I think.
I kept feeling like there was going to be like a catch this whole time of her trying to get this.
Yeah.
They usually do. Okay. They usually throw us something at us. So I was like, is the cousin not going to let her take it? So I saw the computer and I was like, ooh, she needs that.
I think the catch is still coming. Like I think Emma did get fired. I do believe that. I think that her boss was already, he was already ready. He just needed some evidence.
Yep.
But I don't think Emma's done.
Nope.
I think now we've just fueled her crazy, and she might have nothing to lose at this point.
Doesn't.
So who knows what she's going to do.
I know.
That makes me nervous.
I honestly did not agree with Violet confronting her in the office like that.
That was a mistake.
That rubbed me the wrong way, honestly. And I'm totally 100% on Violet's side on this. I just think it was very immature and
I would agree.
Like not nicely done. Like it was, you should have said what you needed to say. I'd probably sit there and give her a look and then I'd walk out.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Just look at her for a moment and walk away.
Get out. As soon as she started walking over there, I was like, dang it.
Don't stoop down to her level. You're better than that.
Yeah.
And she did. And I was like, oh my gosh. So that really did annoy me. But I mean, she did what she did. Agree. And I guess we'll see what the outcome is after that. Because like
we will see.
We will see. We will see.
We will.
We will. We'll see.
Did you all too? Okay, so I don't know if it's just me or not, but with the firehouse inspection, did anyone else think that maybe Emma was somehow involved in that too? Because it was strange.
Absolutely, I thought so.
What happened with this inspection?
I don't know. That's why I thought, okay, Emma has, because I mean, they're supposed to have like this easy guy. You just give him a bottle of scotch and like he goes on about his business.
Yeah.
And then somebody else shows up. And my thought was, oh, Emma did this too. She got some like hard ass on here that like isn't like Schaefer, and they're gonna get in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now,
and he was a hard ass though. I mean, he was a hard ass, but then he said he was gonna come back.
And they worked so hard.
But clearly they needed to. I mean, did you see the way Gallo and Ritter were eating that spot?
That made me laugh so hard because at first I just noticed Gallo with his donut.
Yeah.
But then after Carver was talking to him, I was like, oh shoot, Ritter's got some coffee in his hand too. One of them's holding the broom, the other one's holding the. I'm like, this is hilarious.
What they were sweeping up was the pieces of donut that was falling from Gallo's donut.
Yes. Oh, it was so good though. So good.
So they needed to get their butts in gear. They needed to do at least one good clean for the next 6 years.
They did. I mean, honestly.
But I absolutely thought Emma did that.
Yeah. It's like when you know somebody's like, hey, I'll be there in 30 minutes to your house. And you're like, oh, that's the cleanest your house will ever look. As if somebody unannounced said they're 100%. Coming over. Now, if it's planned, my house doesn't even look that good.
Nope.
It's that adrenaline of, hey, they're going to be here in 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, that's true.
And my house pretty much stays clean, and I still constantly have a freak out if people come over.
This thing served for some other funny moments too, like what at the bar because Bowden put Stella in charge, which I was like, perfect person, because Stella will make this happen for sure. But then when she's like that box of cleaning supplies, and I honestly thought she was probably trying to get Gallo to do it all along, that she had no intentions of actually taking it to the firehouse anyways. But Ritter was like, he basically called him a suck up, and he was like, what? He's like, I'll take it. But he grabbed the wrong box.
See, now even that I thought was him trying to be like, see, I'm not such a suck up, but he clearly was panicked that he grabbed the wrong box.
Yeah. But
Ritter helping
saved the
him.
day in the end.
It saved the day. Ritter knew what he was doing the whole time. What are you always talking about?
I love that camaraderie. Ritter just walked up to him and showed him the phone.
Yes. Like helping himself. He's like, oh, here we can clean this.
And I'm sorry, why would you? It's not even really Gallo's fault. You put those in the exact same box as you.
I mean, he probably should have glanced down to see what he was picking up.
Maybe.
I mean,
that's what a
100 other boxes
would
look the
do.
same.
But
I think I would, especially if there was more than one box sitting there. I'm probably going to open the box to see which one I'm supposed to be grabbing.
But that's what we would do as responsible adults, like Murray does.
That's true. And he's probably had a few more beers before he decided to go do this anyways. Yeah.
And I love how vindicated Mouch was with that Chief called out the squad table.
Yes.
See, I told you it was an eyesore.
I mean, it kind of is though. That squad table is sitting there. Like, I've always been surprised that no one else has ever had a problem with it sitting there like it does.
Well, because they've always had Schaefer do their inspections.
Yeah.
He didn't even go inside.
No, then that's the thing. Then he pulls up and it's not even the other guy. It's the easy guy again. But now they don't have the scotch because poor Kylie said, you told me to get rid of it.
Which I don't think he actually said. I think he said, go hide this.
No, I think he said, get rid of this.
Did he say get rid of it?
He said, get rid of this.
He meant go hide it, but he said, get rid of this. So she took him literally and got rid of it.
Her face,
Kylie.
So panicked. She's like, you told me to get rid of it.
So Gallo's screw up saved the day though, because they had a bottle of scotch, and then poor Herman, with his whole.
I enjoyed his facial reactions. The moment she said, "You remember that liquor you took from Molly's?" and then Herman can't move.
That was funny. For sure.
But I mean,
pure panic.
We saw Herman so much in this episode, and I loved seeing him be this firefighter that was funny. I loved seeing him be a team player, and I love seeing him as a dad and as a husband, because Herman is the full package. I think he's really, man, does he love his wife and his kids so much.
And they have
This is breaking my heart.
I'm really glad that I'm not the one talking about the subject, but we got some bad news this week.
We did. And I kind of, as soon as because we had already, I don't know, do you remember hearing that filming in Chicago was saying they were filming at the Herman house, and we were all like, oh no, I don't like this.
Yeah.
So then when it first opened up and we're showing Cindy sick, and I thought, okay, maybe this is just meant to be like a little funny. Okay, maybe this is what we were panicked about. No big deal. We're just having a little funny episode with her, because he was even like, I got the kids, I'll take care of it. And that part made me laugh though, because in my head I immediately thought, do you? And
but that's what she said.
And that's what she replied with, because I was like, yeah, that's what I thought too. But now I feel, but then as it kept going on, I was thinking, oh, but wait, why are we showing their house? Like, why are we diving so deep into Cindy having a cold? Like, this doesn't make any sense.
See, I thought it was gonna be COVID.
Well, I did at first, but then I was like, well, look, COVID's kind of old. But I mean, I don't know. I was like, why are we bringing attention to this again now? Like, what are we doing?
I was annoyed.
Yes, because I was like, oh my God, no, stop with the COVID. Like, we're good.
I mean,
much worse news.
Jeanette had told me ahead of time what it was, but when she had mentioned in the chat, my first thought was, oh crap, Cindy got sick.
Yes. Well, I knew you would be, because you love Cindy and Herman. I mean, we all love them, but I think you might love them a little bit more.
They're my favorite fire couple.
Yeah, I kind of remembered that. So I was like, oh gosh, this is not good. Like Herman though, being the guy that he is, I absolutely love that he made her this appointment to go to the doctor, because I don't think that Cindy would have necessarily done it.
I think it would later. I think she would have eventually,
when she was near death. I think yes.
I think it would.
But I'm very glad that he was. He took control of that.
Right. And I mean, the X-ray, was obviously showing something. They want a CAT scan, and you can tell then Cindy's nervous. And poor Herman's trying his best to they just got to take a look. They just got to take a look. But then when they find out the news that it's lung cancer, it's poor sweet Cindy that's being pretty strong in it all, and you can see
Herman.
Herman's face
Herman.
is just a mess.
When his eyes teared up, I almost just lost it.
Yeah.
I was like, and he's going, it should have been me. I'm the firefighter.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my gosh. Like,
yeah.
That it's true, because firefighters, it's a known thing that firefighters do get lung cancer. I feel like almost just as much as smokers do.
Yeah.
At this point, sadly.
Yeah.
But just that pure raw emotion. I mean, the actors did brilliantly.
Yeah. It was sad for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully everything's going to be okay. I know we've lost. I really hope that we're not going to take Cindy. Maybe it's just going to be like a storyline to just highlight and let them kind of be in the front center for a little bit, which that I won't be upset about if it ends okay at the end.
See, I feel like she's probably going to be okay, but this might be Herman's exit.
Well, you know what? If Herman, not that I like that, but if Herman has to exit because he's got to take care of his wife and that everything does end happily, I will accept it.
I will too. I mean,
because the firehouse is getting full, guys. I feel like we've got a lot of main characters right now. I mean, so I've kind of been picturing
it's not only that, but he's getting a lot older.
And I've been picturing someone's going to have to go somewhere at some point because I feel like we just got a lot. But I just hope she's okay. That's all I need. Because
yeah.
If he has, I mean, if it's like, like Ethan leaving to be with like April, as long as it's a happy ever after, I can handle it, I think. But it's fire. So we don't always get happily ever afters. We very rarely get happily ever afters, if I'm being honest. So I'm hoping this is the exception to the rule.
I'm going to be more mad about if Dick Wolf kills Cindy off than I was about Hawkins.
I think I will too. I mean, she's got.
Well, yeah, we've known her from episode 1.
And I'm not.
Don't mess with Herman or his family in any way.
Even more of his kids that I'm thinking about. Like, I mean, I think Herman could handle it. He could, but like, don't take that woman from all of her kids. Like, we don't want to see that. You know, I can't. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah. But I think that's why I was so emotional, is because I knew it was coming, and I love her so much.
Yeah.
That I was already starting to cry when she was coughing on the screen.
Yeah. Oh man. And I mean, this very well could be the storyline that ends up taking Herman out. But I tell you, like, next week has me a little bit concerned about someone else, because I feel like we even talked about this and we put something weird out into the universe last week when we were talking about like Severide leaving. Okay. And now I'm
getting really worried. Now, if I will, y'all know Stella's like my girl.
Yes.
I don't like them fighting, first of all.
No.
I feel like if Kelly leaves the show, I would still want them to be together.
Yes. And I think they would.
I don't know. I mean, this fight seems pretty.
No, I think if Kelly left, I really think
would save them.
But I think that we would still see Kelly from time to time. He would just leave the firehouse. I think that's a good exit for Taylor Kinney if he's ready to be off the show. Because there's no way Stella Ride is solid. There's no way they're splitting that up. So I think that we'll actually see random appearances from him from time to time.
What if maybe he'll go to OFI?
OFI.
Then we'll get to see him from time to time. But my thought was also, who would be in charge of squad? Because is Joe a lieutenant? I don't even know if Joe's a lieutenant yet. So could he?
And he hasn't been on squad as long. Cap and Tony are the reigning ones.
Not Cap and Tony aren't taking over. I mean, let's be real.
Imagine
Cap let's be real. I think Joe actually could. I think he's got the capability.
I think Joe would be the one. If anybody on squad was to take over a squad, I think Joe would become lieutenant and Gallo would join.
I'm just picturing how fun it would be if Cap was lieutenant. I can't get that out of my head now.
That is true. We talked about like Gallo, like
because Gallo they'd set that up in the beginning of the year.
Yeah. So Gallo could be ready
Gallo on squad. I would actually.
Yeah. I think that's where he belongs. I think honestly, he's just riding it out until he gets a chance.
Yeah. And I do think probably that, I mean, a married couple working together in the same firehouse, we've seen it's not a good idea. No. So maybe it is time for Kelly to move on to OFI, and we could still see him as often as they want us to see him, so maybe that's the way to go.
Yeah. I'm more okay with that.
Yeah.
Than I am with, and I know that Herman and Mouch are going to have to go at some point because they are,
but I think
I don't want it to happen, but
But here's the thing. Kelly could fall back on OFI. Herman and Mouch live for firefighting. If they're not firefighters, they're going to retire and retire.
And we won't see them. Other than, I mean, Mouch is married to Trudy. So we could see an appearance
the bar.
Here
Yeah, we could see him in the bar. That's true.
That's true. So
that's a good point. Okay, so I feel a little bit better if he has to go off. All right.
I'm cool then. Okay, yeah.
Amanda saved the day. Look at that.
Ooh. Yay. But
it'll be a scary episode next week a little bit. Well, not scary. It'll be tense next week, I think.
I think so.
But that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
I almost said we'll see, but I was like, I'm not. I'm gonna let someone else say it.
And I think that nothing compares to the stress that PD gives us most weeks.
Every week.
So this week was the Kevin heavy episode that we were kind of excited about. We got some answers, and I called that too halfway. I called Kevin's dad issue halfway. Well, mom halfway too. But we've been saying that we want to know more about his backstory, and this week we got the backstory. So I think that was edifying for me.
Yeah.
Did you guys, because I know I mentioned to Jeanette and Amanda, you weren't on the podcast, but did you see the side eye thing that I was talking about in Kevin? Or were you not even looking for it?
No, I forgot to look for it.
Shame.
Sorry.
What was it?
Have to rewatch.
He does this thing that like makes me giggle. Like not like, oh, that's so funny, but like, oh my gosh, what are you doing sort of way.
Yeah.
But it's when he like grabs up here and he'll just kind of go,
oh. No, I was on that podcast.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. And I forgot to look
was
for
it
it
you,
too.
me, and Jeanette?
Yeah.
Oh.
I forgot to look for it too. I need to, because that is really hot when they do that.
I love all.
He doesn't even need to have his hands
when
there,
he does
like,
it. I'm like,
the scene where he did it in the preview that I was talking about last week was when he was outside his dad's door and he just looked at his dad that way, like, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Like he's stupid. Watching this episode, and I think I even put it in the chat. He is stupid pretty.
He's
like
so pretty.
He is.
He
really is.
Like, people don't talk enough about it, to be honest.
No,
they really don't. He's gorgeous. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I totally agree. But I was so excited, like at the little stakeout that they're doing for this funeral. So happy though to see Kevin and Kim. We have not seen them in a scene together in a long time, and they're like besties. So like, I really enjoyed this. And did you all catch the little like Burzak Atwater family like dinner conversation?
Yes.
I love that when they said Mac was wanting Jordan to show her something. I don't know. It's just like, oh my God, can you just picture that sweet little family dinner? Oh, can we just see that? Why can't you just give us a clip of that, please?
Just a little hint.
Just 2 minutes is all I need.
A little look.
Like just a little bit, please. But I also noticed, like, I mean, foreshadowing for what we know is coming up is Kim, when she was taking the photos, you could see her hand shaking a little. And so they had to switch. But, you know, I know that we're coming up to her finally trying to deal with her trauma. And I'm ready for that to happen. But I know that's going to be really tough. So I'm also not ready for it at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that they switched is when Kevin's at the camera and all of a sudden he sees his father, who he hasn't seen in 20 years. And I mean, just imagine, he didn't even know he was out. Like, he had to look it up and see that he got released early or whatever.
What I loved there was when he said it was his, first of all, I think that some of the other people on the team, they trust their team implicitly, but I think they try to hide their weaknesses. Kevin's like, no, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm not going to hide it from you. I'm not going to try to keep it from you. I'm going to tell you right away. And Kim went over and like grabbed him by the shoulders and like made sure he was okay and was like a real partner to him. And that was fun to watch too, to watch that connection.
But no, I like that a lot. And I like that they were the two that were together because I think, you know, it was nice for Kim to be the one to sort of help him through. And then, you know, right after that, I mean, all of a sudden there's shots fired and, you know, 2 people are dead. We find out one of them is the person that's supposed to be next in line to be this gang leader. And so they've got to question all the other people there to try to find some leads. We find out that the guy that was shot was having a fight. The little boy's telling him he was having a fight with another member of the gang just right before that. So obviously that's leading to, we need to check this out. And again, Kim, looking through the footage, finds out that Kevin's dad, Lou, did in fact see the shooter. So that's
Which
kind of,
I figured.
and I liked her interaction there because Adam was like, "What'd you see?" And she was like, "I will tell you." But she was just, I like that because I mean, obviously she wasn't going to hide it from Adam, which I appreciate. But she was also like, "I need to give this to Kevin first. So he needs to be
Yeah.
aware of what's happening before we start telling everybody else."
That's how you function within a team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kim is really good about making sure that she functions correctly within a team, giving due course to who needs due course first.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And I mean, that, unfortunately, though, this discovery means that Kevin does have to bring it up to everyone and he's got to go talk to his dad, which he did not want to do. He
See,
can't help it now.
I honestly did not agree with this, that Kevin needed to go talk to his dad. One, that Kevin goes to talk to his dad and alone.
Well,
That it bugged me. I know he wanted to.
Alone wasn't necessary, but I think it had to be Kevin. I think if anyone would get information out of him, it would be Kevin.
Well, even Voight though said, like, Voight told him this does not have to be you. But I think Voight was kind of giving him that opportunity. If you need this, if you need it to be you, I trust you to go do this. But if you don't, we can handle it too. And so I kind of appreciated that.
But Kevin as a cop, he's very like that. Even when it came to like when the whole Black Lives Matter thing was becoming an issue in that one season, he's very much I'm not going to exempt myself from something because it's hard or it's difficult. It's the right thing to do. So I'm going to go do it. There should be no other recourse here. And that's kind of always been his attitude as a cop.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he even when I'm trying to remember exactly, even with like the Jordan situation, I feel like he was still there to do the right thing, even though this was essentially, I mean, I know it's his brother, but essentially his child. This is someone who he's raised, but he was still willing to like do what he needs to do. He puts being a cop above everything. Like,
he does. I mean, I just feel like that's such a hard thing to do by yourself. It wasn't that I thought he couldn't handle it. I knew he could handle it.
I wish he'd asked Kim to go with him.
Yeah, I was gonna say I did wish he brought her with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, somebody, I thought Kim, that was my first thought as well. But at least somebody with
Adam. I mean, any of those people, any of them would have worked.
One that he really trusted and knew would have his back over protocol or whatever.
Yes.
Which
that would be all of them, really.
I mean, so. Oh, Joe's not there anymore. Never mind.
I think it's worth noting that the reason he is this kind of cop is because this is the kind of cop he wished was in his neighborhood when he was growing up.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
And he won't compromise that. Kind of like Torres, he won't compromise anything for that.
Right. Right.
And I knew this dad was not telling the whole truth. He was definitely citing this. It was a friend of a friend.
Yeah. I mean, I think
he was, wasn't he?
He was, but
he was more involved than leading on.
He was purposely leaving out information. And I think that because he could have told him that, this guy, this Ernie, because I mean, I think Kevin even told him that they were suspecting of this one person. And he was like, oh, that's, he didn't say, oh, I'm a driver for, like, he didn't tell him that part at that point. He was really trying to make it very vague.
I don't want to be involved. He's a friend of a friend.
Yeah. Which I get.
Because he didn't want to go back to prison.
Yeah. And also, I mean, these people are dangerous people. And obviously he's got a debt to repay. So I can understand why he was just trying to just get in there and do what he needs to do. But I also, like we said, Kevin's going to do what's got to be done. And so he's not really worried about like protecting you necessarily. I mean, obviously he wanted to protect him, but he was like, no, we've got to find out this person that killed these people.
I mean, he got him to ID the shooter. That was a huge, I feel like, help.
Yeah. It led him in the right. That next scene though was disgusting and scary. So
why do they put? I do not like it when they involve babies in this stuff. I don't like it.
That was really.
There was no purpose to that in the story.
No, the baby doesn't even return anywhere. Like why?
Just for shock value.
I don't like that. I hate it when they do that. Anytime there's a baby involved, I get real raw. I don't like they did that in The Walking Dead too. Stop bringing babies onto the show. Stop it. Sorry.
The Walking Dead was the worst about it.
I know.
Sorry.
You're fine. But I mean, they find out that obviously he's not telling the truth because they're staking out and lo and behold, their loophole pulls up. And so you had to know they were still watching, buddy.
Really?
Okay.
He told you he's watching. And then you're just so blatantly just keep on going.
Yeah. Which I guess maybe he didn't have a choice, because what's he going to tell Ernie?
He didn't really.
Yeah, I mean, what is he going to say? Oh man, my son, the cop, is kind of on to some
Yeah.
stuff, so I can't do this anymore. I mean, they would have killed
He's
him.
sick.
you
I
know?
don't know.
Yeah, they would have either killed Kevin
I'm
or they
not
would have
sure.
harmed Lou to get leverage over Kevin.
Yeah, I'm not sure that the leaders of a big Chicago gang really care if you want to take a sick day. I'm not really sure if that's in your like employee handbook.
No, I don't
so-
think you get to. I think if he
There's
says
no-
jump, you say how high and
There's no
when.
PTO time. You know,
Everybody's
so-
scared of COVID.
You know what, baby?
Sorry, I need to virtually check in today.
Oh, too funny.
Send him to my house.
And part of me thinks when Kevin, when he wanted to use he was okay using his dad to set up Reed, and it was his idea really to do this. Part of me thinks that he recognized with the cop side of his brain that this is the only lead we have. This is the only viable option we have for information and to get Reed. But I think there was also the other human part of Kevin's brain that was saying, this is my way to keep him close. And this is my way to get answers that I need. So I think that's why he was so, I think both of those things were always warring with him. And you can kind of see that towards the end when he was talking to his dad. And we'll get into that a little bit later, but I think that there were conversations that needed to happen that Kevin had to keep his dad close in order to have those conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I like
agree with
that Dante was right there for Kevin, right? He was like, I'll go. They don't know me. One of the things we said about Dante last week is that he's super intuitive and he can gauge a situation. He can gauge the reactions, and he does what Dante does best. And he watched that situation bounce back and forth and play out. And Lou did a great job too.
Yeah.
Because the guy was saying, it doesn't make sense with all the things you want, but it does make sense if you compile it with his character. I owe him one, just like I owe you one. So this is my character. I have to repay these debts or I can't move on and do something more. If I don't repay these debts, then I get harmed and I can't do what I want to do. So it was Dante watching that, and you could tell that Dante kind of really trusted Lou.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could see the trust there for sure.
Yeah. And you could see that Kevin really was wanting to protect his father because he wanted to jump right in, and Voight had to keep saying, no, it's Dante's call. Let Dante call this.
Yeah. And Kevin's usually really good about like kind of stepping back like that. So the fact that, you could tell that it is because it's his father, the reason he's reacting differently than he normally would in these situations.
And I really think that Kevin thought he could keep that hidden a little longer, or buried, not hidden, but buried a little longer. I think that it probably even surprised Kevin a little bit how forceful that came out, that no, I got to step in there. Because even Kim was like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
But they can't get him on the drug charges. They can't get Reed on him. They got him for the weapon. And because there wasn't actually an exchange. And in fact, the drugs were in somebody else's car. So it's not like, the one thing I had a question of, and which I was nervous about, is because I didn't see Dante at that scene. Did anybody else see Dante there? Where was Dante when they broke that up? Because Dante was supposed to be the buyer. Where was he?
I don't know.
My thought was they had him somewhere. So I was like, oh, what are you going to do to Dante? Because they never addressed it again. But then Dante was in the meeting room. So where'd he go?
Yeah, that was a little strange that he wasn't anywhere to be seen. That did throw me off. I noticed that as soon as, but that's who I was looking for, I think.
Yes, me too.
And I was like, wait, where's the main guy?
Right?
I couldn't think of his name at the time. I was like, hey, where's that main guy?
Because I thought at first I was like, oh, is he the one running? Oh, no, that's a completely different human being. That's not him. And so even Lou, Lou did a really good job. Well, he was legitimately ticked off when Kevin showed up, but he did a really good job of looking like he was surprised and upset and caught off guard that they were there to take him. Yeah. And so Kevin's fear was that they separated them. And I think everyone, obviously it was on everyone's mind that there was a possibility that they separated them to kill him off. And because we find out how paranoid Reed is to this whole thing.
Yep.
So it was a scary situation, but then they finally get to have that conversation. And obviously Kevin's listening in, and he heard before about how he just took the fall. So we find out what happened is that first of all, Kevin was 12 when his dad went to prison. Yeah. His mom died just what did they say? A couple of years later. So Kevin became a full-time single parent at the age of 14 in the gang-ridden area of Chicago.
Yep.
How did he turn out so well-rounded and normal?
Yeah. No,
He is one of the strongest people on that team.
Yep. No, I totally agree.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't think Kevin is celebrated enough for the kind of man that he is. I really
he's
don't.
Definitely not. No,
he's good to the core, and he's well-rounded, and he's got a good head on his shoulders, and he genuinely cares and is compassionate about the work that he does. And I love him. But this conversation between him and his dad, I was so relieved to see Kevin explode a little bit.
Yeah.
Because when Adam was saying it's okay to be angry, and Adam, he was like, no, here's why it's not okay. But whether it's okay or not, you need to address that some part of you is.
Yes.
Maybe it's not okay for you to be angry, but you are angry, so you have to deal with it. And I loved watching him explode, and he rated in real quick, but he still let it out. And I think that's going to be so much better. And then that ending he said is, I have a place for you. And his dad said, I don't deserve that. And Kevin's like, you damn sure don't, but I'm going to offer it to you anyway. Yeah. He is such a good man.
Yeah. He is.
And you know that
better than me.
Part of the reason he offered that was for Jordan.
Yeah.
You know that's part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Because Kevin rarely just thinks about himself only. Very rarely. Even when he was dating Celeste too. I'm so sad. I thought we were going to see her back.
I thought so
I did too.
But even with that, the reason he did things the way he did, it was weird, but it was because he was thinking of someone other than himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
so
how he is.
I was glad to see Kevin celebrated and highlighted this week because he needs to be more. I am ready for the ensemble stuff to be back.
Yeah.
Because next week it looks like we're digging back into something else that I really wanted to be all done with.
I thought we were
This is annoying. So annoying to me.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Now that I've been watching Yellowstone and I'm a huge fan of this actor, like it excites me to see him because I swear, Maureen, if you could just watch just a little bit of the show to see, Amanda knows because you've at least started watching some of it. Yeah. The difference in that character versus his character on PD, it's like
black and white.
Like you are like, I mean, it's amazing that you can play both of those characters so realistically. So Sean, as much as I hate the story, it is intriguing, and I think it's a very well acted story. Now, the thing in the preview that he said, he told Haley he would give her information if she promised to come back and see him again.
Yeah, like what is it? But what is the point of this, though?
Because
I don't. That's like where I'm struggling.
I don't know.
I get that, but why? Why are we digging back into this? Why do we need to put Haley back there? Are they getting ready to move Haley off the show by making her crazy? Because that's I'm not gonna like that either. Because I finally like Haley. I really like Haley.
I just want to get back to the episodes that are just like one case at a time. That's not any outside, like it's not somebody's dad or somebody's brother or anything related to anyone. The whole team solves the case and then we move on. Like I want to get back to those.
And we finished this arc. We don't need to use him as an informant. He's in prison. I think why? We don't need to be here.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed to see that's like, I don't mind, we already focused on Haley. I love her now, but we already focused on her.
We need to focus on Kim. Okay. We've been talking, we need to get to that.
They keep putting that in every episode. Why are we not there yet?
I know it's going to be soon.
Yeah. I
It's coming soon though, because the 200th episode, there's a Burzak family dinner at the Burzak house.
When
so
is
I know.
200th? What are we on right now?
Well, they were just filming it like.
Oh, they just filmed it
like a week, maybe 2 weeks ago. We know there's
about
about
3 weeks left.
Yeah, there's like a 5 to 6 week like window between those. So
okay, yeah. So. I just don't want. I felt like the storyline closed up.
Yeah, I thought so too.
What I thought we were going to see more of it possibly was on the judicial side, but that's not really the show's MO. It's not where they deal with it. So the fact that they're going back into prison to put him back on the show doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, so that's the only reason I was frustrated by this preview. Like, I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
He was a creep. He is a creep. I don't want it. I want to see more problem solved.
Move on.
Yes.
I agree.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye.
So that's a throwback one there. Right? The kids won't understand that one necessarily.
That one felt really awkward coming out of my mouth too. Didn't feel right. But that is our Chicago recap for this week. Next week we are coming back with another one. And you can visit our Facebook page, which is One Chicago Family Fan Club. But next week, we have coming up for you our final resident podcast of this current season. That'll come out on Sunday, and Tuesday will be followed by another One Chicago recap. Do we know how many episodes are in this season for Chicago, or no? Have they not announced it?
No,
I haven't heard anything.
22 to 24, but I haven't heard
Typically,
for sure.
but
So
I know that things have been weird in filming and premiering, so I didn't know.
we're just gonna pretend there's gonna be that many.
Yeah, we don't have any dates that says finale or closing or anything, so you'll be getting those for a while. After that week, we are going to dig into 911 Lone Star, which will start premiering on Fox. So stay tuned for all the fun we have coming your way. Get in our Facebook group and share with us. Don't forget, we do have a spoiler ban, but we have a spoiler thread that you can talk about the episodes on there, your frustrations, your joys, your oogling and googling over characters. So come and join us over there and do that, and we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye. Loving our content? Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to share our podcast with your family and friends. We want to continue the conversation with you. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok under Fandom Family Chats, or one of our ever-growing Facebook groups by searching Family Fan Club. We've also launched a website, Family Fan Club 2021 at Wixsite.com. You can email us there and keep checking it for announcements and merch coming soon. And of course, be sure to tune in every week for new episodes discussing all your favorite shows.